Hello, this is Paul from Foresight Tech. In this lecture, we are going to go over the decomposition of a function. Okay, we can decompose a composite function. If we have a very complicated function, okay, usually we decompose it into simple function composed together. This is very important when we're going to find the derivative in the future, okay, in Calc 1 later. So make sure that everyone you get this, how to decompose. All we need is the definition of the composite function, right? So we learned that from the last topics. Suppose we have a function. Okay, here is complicated. You know, we need to do what? We need to find the inner. We need to find the outer. Usually, which one go first? Okay, so usually we find the inner function gx first. Okay. If you find the inner, and then easy to find the outer. If you find the inner and find the outer, then you have this form of decomposition, right? So y is the outer, and then u, the inner, is gx. Okay. Keep in mind that. So usually we find the inner first. How to find the inner? Usually inner is the complicated part that troubles us. Okay. Let me see. I'll give you one example how to do. It should be easy to do, okay. And this is very complicated. Which one? Okay, this is what? This is an algebraic function, of course. This is an algebraic function, right? Why is algebra? Because this is a polynomial raised to a power, okay. So you can see this if we decompose what is the inner, what is the outer, okay. Can we see this? This is the inner. Why? Because if we set up this inner is u, you can imagine, okay. We set up this inner. This is the inner. All we need to do is identify inner or outer. This is the inner. Why? If we identify this as inner, like this set up a u, you can imagine what is u. Simple function, polynomial. Okay, u is a polynomial. And then f is u raised to the first power, a power function, which means this complicated function is a composite of the power function as the inner function, right? The power function composed with the inner function. Okay. Now, easy because we already identified the inner. So what do we do? I'll put it here. So the inner function is this. So usually we say the inner is used. It says inner is g, so we have to write gx is the inner. So the inner is 2x plus x squared. Polynomial, right? A simple functions. What is the outer? Now, what the outer function? Okay. So we say inner is u raised to the first power. Power function is the outer, but we need to write the fx. So fx equals what? Don't use u, still use x. Okay, x raised to the first power. Why? Because later we change x to u. U is the inner. Okay, u raised to the first power. What's the decomposition? So usually we have the decomposition is this way. So what is the decomposition? The decomposition, do you remember, wrote y equals fx. We wrote this y equals f. The middle one, now don't use x, we use u. And then u is what? Is gx. Okay. Can you see this? This is the outer function, the inner is g. If we put them together, you can imagine it's f at gx, right? F at g. The outer function composed with the inner functions. Probably someone don't like it this way, and usually will not write this. Usually we will write this. Or is this y equals f, which means u raised to the first power. And then u is gx. Gx is 2x plus x squared. See, that's much easier to look at the function, right? Keep in mind that this is the most important one. Okay. And how to break it up? So y, f is y. Y equals u raised to the fourth, and then u equals 2x plus x squared. This is super easy, right? Power function compared with the polynomial function. That's all. Thank you.